91 movie. It was such a big movie.
Yes, yeah, that was I was actually telling a story from that film that I remembered. It was a really great experience because I'd done one previous film before that called American Dreams. That was my first like big opportunity. And then 21 was just a beautiful experience working with that great cast, but also we shot in Boston, we shot in Las Vegas. So it was a really cool life experience to be able to travel. And also when you work on a big budget film like that, to see the machinery of it, to see how it happens and how it works, it was really a learning experience. And it's something that I took with me to other jobs I did after that. Yeah.
And how was your experience playing with Jim?
Jim Sturgis is just such a great, he's a musician as well, actually. He's a really great musician. So just a great energy. Real, the thing is, for most of us during that, on that film, it was one of our first experiences with everyone. We had some older guys. We had Lawrence Fishburne and Kevin Spacey, these guys who had worked a lot. But the younger group, it was a lot of people kind of learning the process. So Jim was just a really great guy. We stayed in touch and shared music together. He shared music and collaborated on music together. So yeah, he just as nice in real life as you would imagine.
Yeah, I see. And what do you think about your role in this movie? You played a nerd, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah, well, I was telling the interesting story with that film was I went to the audition and um, I actually after the audition I called my mom and I'm like I just had the worst audition of my life. I embarrassed. I felt like I had this horrible. It felt like I ruined it. And then, of course, 2 days later, I get a call that I got the job, which is always every time you feel like you did a great job, you never get the job. It's when you're not sure. But
Yeah.
then when I got the film, the director called me and said, I loved the first film you did, and I want you to do the same like accent, like the Middle Eastern accent. And I was listening to him, but like in my heart, I was like, oh God, because in the script there was no accent, and like I
Yeah.
didn't want to get typecast, and also for the character, it didn't feel like it was the right thing for the character. So I had to fly to Vegas for the first table reading and to meet the cast, and I'm in the airplane and I'm like writing the 10 reasons I think that this guy shouldn't have an accent, and I was like prepared to confront the director and be like, here, this is what I think. But I didn't get a chance to talk to him. We get to the first reading. So the whole cast is there, all the actors, the head of Sony Pictures, everyone's sitting there, and we start reading, and it gets to my part, and I'm like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? And I just started doing the role with my own voice, not with a Persian like this, accent. I just did it.
Yeah.
I did it the way I wanted to do it. So I did the audition, and then I did the reading, and then I get a call the next morning. The director wants to have a meeting with you. So I'm like, oh, I'm about to get fired. I go to have the meeting. I'm waiting outside his office. 20 minutes goes by, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. I'm waiting there an hour. I'm like, yes, this is not a good sign. Finally, the director lets me in the room and he's talking, and then he's like looking at some papers and he's like, oh, by the way, love what you did. Keep that. Da, 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 da. And he kept going with the meeting. And he had no idea how much my heart was bumping at that time because I was ready for this confrontation. But that moment was a great lesson for me about trusting your instinct and doing what you feel is right. Even if it's your first film or your 100th film, or it's your first day in the office or your 100th day in the office, you gotta at the end of the day hold on to the things that you believe in, and the things that are valued to you.
Yeah. That role, I think it really fits you. But the thing is that how nerd you are in your personal life.
Oh yeah, I'm nerd. I'm a nerd for sure. I
So
love
that's
video.
that's why it felt so real when I watched you. I said, yeah, Sam could be a nerd.
Yeah, I love video games and comic books and anime, but more than that, the thing with what nerd really, I've always thought about this idea of nerd. What nerd really means is someone who's really cares or passionate about something. Because the opposite of that is the James Dean character who doesn't care about school, doesn't care about the idea of nerd is someone who's passionate either about stamps or nature or whatever it is. It's being a nerd is actually the best thing to be, because that means you care about something. It's the people who like don't care about anything that's the considered cool, but that's not really what like, you know, that's not the kind of people you want to be around and the person you want to be, you know?
Yeah, and usually in the movies, the stereotype is that they show that nerds they cannot get girls, and
Yeah,
that's why.
yeah,
Yeah, that's the
yeah.
negative things about them they show. But this is not true. Do you agree?
Of course, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah. I mean, I have friends who are the most handsome guys I know, and they never date anyone because they just have a bad personality, you know? So it doesn't really
Yeah.
matter.